Hi guys, and welcome to, I think we're calling it date night, even though it's clearly the middle of the day. And this is just going to be the first of our vlogs for when we go see movies at the cinema, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Do you want to take your sunglasses off?
No, because then I'll squint. I'll look like this. And God knows my teeth look big enough already.
But yeah, so what we'll do is we'll do the non-spoiler version,
Yeah.
and then we might get into the story later.
Yeah.
So do you want to say what we went to see?
We went to see Dragon Ball Z Resurrection, or is it just called Dragon Ball Resurrection?
Dragon Ball Z Resurrection of F. Because everyone knows who F is anyway, so why hide that in the title? Meh. Alright, so what did you think?
But I think, overall I thought it was pretty good. I'm glad we went to see it in cinema, rather than trying to hunt down a Japanese version. I'm glad we got to, I like subtitles, especially the next person, but I'm glad we got to hear the dubbed version. I'm glad we actually got to sort of see it in a venue like that, because I feel like you associate, or at least I associate Dragon Ball Z with TV, and it was kind of interesting to see it in a different way. But I think the acting was surprisingly good. The story was fairly good. There was a good mix of action and kind of comedy, as you would expect from any kind of Dragon Ball Z product.
I would say that it was better than the previous movie.
Yeah.
It felt, because the previous movie felt like the humor was really, really forced and silly.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I think I can understand now where the last movie was coming from. It was almost like it was a setup for this.
Yeah.
So.
Without spoiling it, obviously.
Yeah. Presumably you've seen the last movie.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Battle of the Gods, there's probably spoilers for that as well.
Yeah.
But I would say that the film felt like it was a film. It didn't feel like it was made for TV.
Right.
The animation was
fluid.
great.
Yeah.
Like I noticed stuff in that film that, like in the TV series, would have been still images in the background.
Right.
Or even in the foreground. It's the way they used to do it, isn't it? It used to be still images with a moving, like, just lines in the back and everything else. That's how my dad used to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he could never get into the show, is because it's just the comic page being pulled around the screen. And in this, it's like properly animated. There are people and with how many people were in the background in scenes of this film that were all animated and all drawn.
Yeah. It was really well done. I'm glad we went to see it.
I would say that I liked the soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
That was good. And the story was good. It felt a little bit like they had taken a page out of Dragon Ball Z abridged book. Not in the sense of like the jokes and the humor, but in how the story progresses and how fluidly it progresses. It's almost like they looked at what they've done where they've trimmed it down a bit. And so the story didn't take forever to get started. You know what I mean? It moved quickly.
Yeah, which was good. I mean, there were honestly there were one or two parts where I felt like it was dragging, but I understood that was probably the result of fan service. I feel like they did try to cram a lot of fan service into this movie, which is not a bad thing. Because again, I mean, there were only 15 people in the theater, and they must have been diehard fans. I mean, this was a one-time showing, 11 o'clock in the morning, last minute. So yeah, of course you're gonna get the diehard fans in there, and yeah, around here it's only fucking 15 of them. So
I would say the only problems I had with it was story based.
Yeah, I feel like you could the exposition was a little clunky, and you could see a lot of the story coming from miles away. Like, oh, okay, well, we know this is gonna happen because they just set it up here. So okay, let's wait for that to happen. But it was still fun.
I also think it's interesting that this one seemed to try harder to tie it back into the show,
right.
Which is interesting because I know that the two previous movies, are not connected to the show in any more of a direct way, because the new show has started, and that is a direct continuation of Dragon Ball Z. And these movies take place in a separate universe. Yeah? So it's interesting that it tried very hard to tie it back into the ending of the series,
Yeah.
and yet, well, not even months later, because the show actually started before this one got a dub.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. It's sort of like they tied them back together just to untie them again.
Oh, we've spent 5 minutes talking about the general
Without spoilers.
quality without spoilers. Shall we get into spoilers now?
Yeah. Okay, so let's sync.
Start with the basic plot. Basically, if you haven't seen the last one is all about a destroyer god that pretty much wakes up, threatens to destroy Earth, and after, several fight scenes with Goku, is convinced to spare the Earth because he likes sushi. So that's the last one, and that kind of leads into this one where you get kind of two beginnings, where you've got one occurring where they pretty much use the Earth's Dragon Balls to resurrect Frieza. Duh, how else was it going to happen?
That's something I'd like to point out, is if you paid any attention to this film when it was being like announced and
Right.
there's more and everything else, they made a big deal out of Sorbet and Tagoma. Like that was a big part of the concept and a big part of the advertising.
And they were really hardly in it.
Yeah, Sorbet was in it for longer, but he had
He was
almost no lines.
he was an extreme background character.
And big spoiler is that Tagoma, who was the big part of the advertising, is in it for the first. He's in it up and he's not in it until after the title screen.
Yeah.
There's a bit before you have the Dragon Ball Z intro and everything else, and he's not in it after that at all. Because I even expected him to come back in not in any big sort of story or big way, but sort of like turns out he was still around. He was just a background character. But no, nothing. There was so many named characters they made for this film that had 30 seconds, and that ties back into the fact it is purely fan service.
Merchandising,
Yeah.
collect them all. That's probably what was happening.
But that does also bring me back round to what I was saying about the story moving along quite quickly. Frieza even says it himself. Well, last time he basically called out the show for how long it took them to fight. And so this time he literally jumps in his final form.
Yeah, which is basically what happens is, as he is being resurrected and flying to Earth, he says, okay, well, I'll get my revenge and then I'll sort of clean up my empire, which has pretty much gone to shit since I died, whatever. So as that's happening, as he's training, reaching a new final form, you've got Goku and Vegeta on the other end training with the Destroyer God in a separate dimension or a whole other planet or another part of the universe, basically. And they're just training because training is fun, blah, blah, blah. So
I've got to say, that was actually my favourite scene.
Yeah.
Was watching those two train with Whis.
Right, I feel like the most personable scenes where you can kind of, you got almost the most character development was where they were just kind of sparring and screwing around.
Yeah, Vegeta and Goku got the best character development.
Right,
Gohan is no longer a fighter.
right,
He still had.
Which was
they all had cool
weird.
stuff. They all had cool stuff.
right.
All of them. There was a couple of characters I feel like they were left out mostly because maybe they couldn't get the voice
Yeah,
actors.
you don't see Trunks, you don't see...
Goten, you don't see Chi-Chi, you don't see
Right.
Yamcha.
And they get a throwaway line, like, oh, I didn't even bring these guys to the battle. I knew they weren't going to be up to it.
Which is hilarious because I feel like Goten and Trunks, based on the last film, are probably better fighters than Gohan now. And it's like, but because I'm older, I might, Hercule wasn't in it, which surprised me. He's usually...
Oh, but you see his golden statue, so I got the impression that he was had passed away or something like that.
Maybe, but I know he's in the show.
You do see Master Roshi kicking ass.
Yeah, that I was
bulked
surprised
up.
at.
Like
he was...
on broids.
Piccolo, who's still my favourite character, had some amazing stuff. I'd like to point
And
out...
he's still a babysitter.
He's still a babysitter.
For the freaking Gohan family.
I loved the...
He cannot get out of that role.
I loved that Special Beam Cannon. It is no longer a 3-minute thing because he literally screw it. He said it and fired it quicker than he could blink.
Yeah.
That was great.
That is one of the good things about seeing one of the condensed films. And not only is the animation terrific, but it's literally just they're firing the attack at the same time they're screaming. It's great. So condensed.
I should bring up the two bits I had a problem with though, shouldn't I? From the plot.
Why don't we? I feel okay. So let's quickly outline the plot, which is basically Vegeta.
Frieza comes back.
Comes back.
Comes to Earth, attacks it with an army, The army.
The ancillary characters kind of take care of the army. Then it's just Frieza, and Frieza's like, well, where the fuck's Goku? And then Goku and Vegeta show up along with the Destroyer God. He's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna do fuck all. I'm just gonna watch you guys.
That is actually probably point number 3 actually for bad thing is that Beerus and Whis are kind of just there.
Yeah, they're just there. They are literally in the background eating ice cream.
I would
am not lying.
I would argue that Bulma has more impact on the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
Proving yet again, she is, out of all the men on the show, she is in fact the ballsiest.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Also, getting the unrated version was good as well. Because if there were kids in front of us and I heard
They
them...
said, damn!
Oh, I'm bastard and pissed off. And the kids in front of us, I was so
Screw
pleased.
it.
I was so pleased the kids in front of us got excited at that because that just cheered me up that they were still young and naive enough to find swearing funny, you know.
Oh, and the blood, the fact that we actually got to see blood, that was terrific.
That's, you know, it's...
That wasn't green, that wasn't Piccolo's.
Yeah, Piccolo actually didn't bleed once.
I know.
No missing arms.
High five. Okay.
But no, there was one bit very early on. And
That bugged you?
That did bug me, and I'm not the get offended kind of guy when it comes to film usually,
Right.
but this was, and I think even you as well, and that was Android 18. That
Yeah.
was blatant.
You see Android 18 for less than a minute, and she's got a kid, and she goes, you know, I should probably, to her husband, Krillin, I should probably come along with you because A, I'm stronger than you, and B, I'm faster than you, and C, I could probably kick more ass than you. And she says, I mean, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what she says. And he goes, no, I know you're stronger than me, but you should stay
you
here.
should stay here with the baby.
Yeah. And she does. And as he flies off, she goes, wow, he's just so cool.
And that's not exaggeration. That is
that's
exactly
literally
how
the
she
line.
did.
That's exactly how she says it.
Right. And I feel like that might be that, like, maybe that's a lost in translation joke. Like maybe in the Japanese it's more sarcastic.
Yeah, maybe she straight up says, he's so sexist. But
Well, that's my point. Is like
Right.
maybe in the Japanese that's the joke. Like Krillin's a dumbass,
Yeah.
and she says something more to that line.
yeah.
But that's the thing is also I feel like that only happens because there's one tiny problem with this story. Every villain since Frieza has had to be stronger than him,
Right.
including her.
And not only that, but every villain since Frieza has wound up becoming Goku's bestest friend of all time. And
No, because every villain since Frieza.
okay, all right, no, not Cell, but
Boo hasn't
Boo?
either. Boo is Hercule's friend, and not the version that winds up being
a friend
good.
of a friend, right? And I mean, freaking the android's screwing his best friend.
But that's enough. And this is the big spoiler. This is the big spoiler because it's that very, very last thing that bugs me. So big spoilers here. Minor spoilers have been so far. This is the ending. You know, this is the ending, right? I predicted going into this that it would be about Vegeta getting to kill Frieza.
Because he deserves it.
He does deserve
And
it.
I was, you know what, I agree. I thought that that's the route they were going to go. Obviously, Goku does it. Whatever.
So, no. He doesn't. Because here's the thing, and this is the big spoiler.
You can't chalk it up to teamwork, though.
No, because here's the thing. Goku loses the fight, and then Vegeta wins the fight. And he does win the fight, except Frieza, and big spoilers here, destroys the Earth first.
Right.
He destroys the Earth in a last-ditch effort, and Whis just goes, oh, I can rewind time because fuck consequences.
Whis, by the way, is the Destroyer God's
Stronger than him.
Stronger than him.
Servant.
Weirdly strong servant.
Who rewinds time so that Goku, in the literally last moment, kills Frieza. And I think it's the only time Goku's actually killed someone, isn't it? I mean, Boo, you could argue it's the whole universe kills Boo.
Yeah, but he straight up disintegrates Frieza, which is great. But again, it's depriving Vegeta of. I mean, you know, you could argue, okay, well, Frieza blew up both of their home worlds technically, but there's a difference. Vegeta
grew up
with it.
He grew up with the knowledge.
He was forced to serve Frieza, whereas Goku was just kind of like, he had a good life. He didn't even know he was the Saiyan until freaking, who was it, Radish showed up. But mall security.
More security just drove around us, probably looking at us.
Suspicious.
But where were we? That's the thing is, But that's a couple of the other things as well, like the Chekhov's gun thing. If you're going to do something, if you're going to talk about something, it really has to come into it. And there was a couple of things that never paid off.
They kept mentioning, oh well, if Vegeta and Goku work together, and here I am thinking
that's how it's going to culminate. It's going to be awesome.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but I mean, I didn't even think like teamwork battle strategy. Strategy. I can't talk really. I can. No, I thought they were going to merge like they did in the last movie.
Oh, fusion. I didn't see that's the thing. I wasn't even expecting fusion. I was expecting Goku to fight him, get beat up a bit. Vegeta to fight him, get beat up a bit, and then they realised, or even, because that's the thing is, I expected the time travel thing, because I thought they were both going to lose individually,
retcon,
time travel back a bit, and go, you know what, we're going to do this fight both together. We're just going to kick the crap out of you.
Right.
And they didn't.
Right.
And that was because there was also another bit with you have to learn to move without thinking. And none of them did it.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever they tried to. I'm sure. It might have been the dub, but I feel like they crammed a lot of extra points into it,
which they didn't pay off on.
Right, exactly, and maybe they will in the next movie. But I mean, that's and there will be another movie. You got to understand that's going to happen.
But despite these, well, the series side, we need to check that out. But despite those minor problems, it was still exciting.
Yep.
It was still funny. It was still cool, and it was still well made.
Yeah.
So here's the question: are we going to get it when it comes out?
I feel like I can no longer stop you getting things, so
would you want to have it? That's the question. That's the review. You know.
Honestly, I could be. I'm kind of half and half. I mean, I wouldn't mind owning it, but I'm not like I'm not like how I was with maybe Jurassic Park. Jurassic World, where like I'm going to own it. Like I don't really care.
This way. Are you glad we didn't see Fantastic Four?
Oh yeah, this was much better than Fantastic Four.
Of course, just to clarify, we haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, but as of recording this,
the people who have seen it think it's absolutely awful, including the director. So
as of recording this, Rotten Tomatoes ranks it 9% average, and ranked Dragon Ball Z 100% average. Now that's a bit flawed because I'm sure there's only like 2 reviews.
But what we're trying to say is we're currently living in an age where Dragon Ball Z beat one of the Marvel movies, so there you go.
But yeah, either way, I'd say it was good. I'd say it's worth checking out. You're unlikely to find it in a theatre now, but I would check it out. I'd get the Blu-ray.
Mr. Chance.
Yeah.
Cry about it.
But either way, that's our first vlog, and we'll catch you when we see another film.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.